Hey, it's Dr. Ganatra, and in this one, I'm going to show you the biggest mistake most dentists make when building their brand and their practice, and how you can fix it by just simply having this one shift. You know, we all think that doing more dentistry and doing different procedures and doing the dentistry better is going to make it different for us, or it's going to improve our practice. But how do you improve your brand, your practice, so you can charge more, you can generate more patients coming back, and you can be even more of the authority in your space? There's one thing you got to do, and it starts with this, and it's a simple shift in realizing that your content equals your assets. Your content equals your assets. And most practice owners don't think about it this way, because they think, oh, I got to make content? Well, I'm doing the dentistry. That's enough. I don't need to make any content. I did the dentistry. The patient was happy. The case turned out great. But what you're forgetting is you're not capturing the whole thing. You're not capturing the before, during, and after. And if content equals assets, if content does equal assets, the goal is, how do we make those assets more valuable, and what kind of assets can we create more of in our practice? So there's 5 types of content that you can create that will give you valuable assets in your practice. Now, if you're marketing your practice, if you have a new practice, if you've been around for 20 years and you're like, God, my patient flow is just decreasing, or you're starting a brand new practice where you're like, God, I need to get patients in, or you're just a growing dentist, or even an associate where you're like, I want to eventually have my practice one day, you got to start building assets. Most of us see physical things as assets, but in today's world, the digital world, content equals assets. So what are the 5 types of assets you can create? Let's just jump into that. And when you start creating these assets, you'll start seeing everything in a whole different view, because you're like, oh, wow, these are things that can work for me over and over again. Even if I'm not in the practice, even if I'm not in front of patients, these things can work for you. The first is this. First asset that you can create is before and after. Before and after pics, or before and after video, whatever you want to do. Pictures or video. You got to have these on every single case. So ask yourself this: have you captured your case before you started treatment? Do you know, or does the patient know where they started from? Yeah, they look at their teeth every day and you're like, oh, they know. But let me tell you this, when you fix the problem or you transform the smile, they oftentimes forget where they started. Make sure you get those before pictures, and even better, your before videos. Next, do you have a proper documentation visually through video and through pictures of that case? You should be doing this on every single case that you don't have this specific content type for. Every single case. So even if it's a buccal composite, get the before and after, because now you can show this to your patients. Get a simple video. Even if it's a 15-second video, you can use it as an Instagram reel. You can use it as a simple slideshow that you can show your patients. Make sure you get before and after pictures and video. So what's the next one? We got the before and after. Well, here's another one that's super powerful. It's called the treatment narration. Narrating the treatment that you're doing while you're doing it. Now, you don't necessarily have to do it while you're doing it, but you take a video and then you do a voiceover and you add the narration of what you're doing in that treatment. So let's write that down, and I'm going to tell you why that's important. Treatment narration. Hopefully I'm spelling that right. So the treatment narration essentially is you doing treatment, taking your phone, whatever it is, and just taking the video. After it's done, you can use a simple app like InShot. It's a great one that I use on my phone, InShot. And I have the video, I put it on silent, and then I just do a voiceover. And I actually talk and narrate what I'm doing during the procedure as the video is playing. Then that voiceover gets baked into the video. That's why it's a voiceover. And now I have a simple explanation for that segment of the treatment. Now, that turns into an asset class. Why does it turn into an asset class? Because now patients ever decide and say, hey, Dr. Ganatra, what does this mean what's the difference between cutting a tooth for a veneer versus doing a crown? Yeah, you can show them on the model. But if you actually show the live case of you narrating that procedure, it's a whole different feel. It's a whole different thing. So make sure you have this other asset, the second asset, the treatment narration. Pick it for any treatment that you're doing in your practice. Maybe it's Invisalign, maybe it's veneers, maybe it's implants. Now, be careful that you don't get too gory, that you don't get too graphic. If you're doing implants, you don't want to get all bloody and show too much of that. But you can do is show simple before and after pictures and narrate them as well. You could show the abutment, you could show the crown, you could show all the implant parts sitting on the table. You could show those in the tray. You can show how implants connect to the abutment. You can show how the crown goes on top. There's so much you can show, and that treatment narration video is so key. Now, the third piece, third type of content you can make, so easy to make, and your assistant can help you do this, is the chairside video. Well, it's simple. You use your phone, and all of this stuff, use your phone. It just comes out way more authentic. You could do vertical video, horizontal video, but for the chairside video, you can do horizontal video, have your assistant essentially just hold the phone and take you sitting next to the patient and you asking the patient a few questions. Some questions you can ask is, hey, what'd you think of the procedure? Boom, that's it, simple. Hey, did that hurt at all? Or you started wearing the night guard a few weeks ago. How are things feeling now? And then have the patient just talk. So what you're doing is you're being linked to the patient's outcome or result. And that's so valuable. When they see you being linked to the outcome or the result, what happens is now the viewer is going to be like, oh, this is great. I'm getting to see, Dr. Ganatra with this patient as she had a total outcome that was so helpful for her. So chairside videos are key. Chairside videos, right? Now this is an asset. Why do I call it an asset? Because it's going to work for you forever. Like literally, if you're not seeing patients, you can post this on your social media. You can have it in an iPad that you keep in the office. You can have your front office show this to patients. You can use this for marketing. You can use this at the local gathering in your community. These are simple chairside videos of patients talking about how you help them with their treatment. It's so simple. Now, what's the fourth one we can do? This is a really powerful one, and this is one when you really start thinking about how to do this, you'll see that this specific treatment type works so well because nobody usually does it. Nobody does it. It's the behind the scenes video. So let's just call it, just say behind the scenes. Behind the scenes. And a great thing with the behind the scenes video is that nobody knows what happens when you leave the chair. What happens with the procedure? What happens with the patient's case? What are you doing in the lab? Are you trimming the models? Are you mounting the models? What are you doing behind the scenes? Anytime you share the process and you embed it into the product or the service, the value goes up. So if you're mounting models, that's behind the scenes. You got to show that. If you are trimming models, if you are prepping for the case, if you're visualizing a digital smile and you're doing the workup on a software dashboard, you have to show that. And that's a simple video. You can take that off your phone. Here's typically all the work that goes into doing a full mouth veneer reconstruction. Or here's all the work that goes into doing 2 anterior veneers, 2 front veneers. I just want to show you what it looks like. Now you're doing that behind the scenes. Patients are like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is great. And they see the value in what they bought. Not only do they see the value in what they bought, they also see what you're doing to prep for their case, which then further demonstrates you as the authority with that specific treatment. Now, if you think about it, the behind the scenes is so important. There's something else that's related to having an effective behind the scenes piece of content, and that is the lab content. So that's your fifth content type you can make. I would call it the lab content. And there's so much you can do here. Lab content. So we got these 5. There's so much we can do. With the lab content, becomes really powerful, specifically when patients have no clue what the lab's doing. You know, they think, oh, the lab made my veneers. Well, what did the lab actually do to make your veneers? Did they layer the porcelain? Is there a digital element involved? Is there technology? Let's exemplify that. Let's showcase that. And a simple thing that you can do with your lab is ask your lab to give you 5 pictures of the 5 most important steps in that case after you send that case to them. And tell your lab that, hey, you know what? I'm actually going to be showing these pictures to our patient so that way they can appreciate what you're doing in your lab. Now, the lab's going to love that because they just literally have to text you 5 pictures. Maybe they send you the picture of they take a picture of the scan, or they take a picture of the milling unit. They take a picture of how they layer the porcelain, and tell them to give you specific shots that show them making the tooth. So now the lab is giving you this content, 3-4 pictures, and now you're going to show those pictures to the patient. And you're also going to show those pictures to future patients as well. So now patients can appreciate what happens with their case when they leave your practice. The value keeps going up. You see, the beautiful thing about these 5 pieces of content here is that if you really think about it, these 5 pieces of content, gosh, they keep working for you forever, literally. You know, your before and after pictures, your treatment narration, you can post that anywhere. You can exemplify and solve confusion with patients' questions around a specific treatment. What about that chair side video? That just brands you and it gives you authority with the patient. So powerful. Behind the scenes, nobody does that. What happens when that patient leaves the chair? Now you got that. Now you got that. And when you start showing patients what you do behind the scenes, they'll appreciate you way more for this. And then, of course, the lab content. Tell your lab to give you 5 pictures of 5 steps, or break it down into 3 steps. And that way you can show your patients what your lab's doing. So that lab content is super key. You can go ahead and take a screenshot of that. But this is such a powerful way to create content. But not only that, this content is essentially your assets, right? Your assets keep working for you over and over again. And that's what I want you to see is if you're really playing it smart, you want to have the most assets in the game. More assets, more appreciation. More assets in your business, more value in your business. More assets in your business, more reach. Patients can see what you're doing, who you are, why they should go see you. These are the 5 types of content you should be creating, and those things you should be looking at as assets in your practice. We talked about the before and after. We talked about all these, and make sure you start creating these today, because you'll see as you start creating more of this stuff, patients will see you even more as an authority in your space, in your local community, and they'll appreciate what you do even more because now you're sharing with them the behind the scenes. You're sharing with them all the stuff that is kind of like a mystery to them. And now you'll see that as you start raising prices, as you should, the quality of your care is going to be better understood. So think of your content as assets, put together 5 types of content, and you'll see your practice start to boom based on what you're doing here. And make sure you share it on social. I hope this video helped, and I hope that it kind of gave you some clarity how to think about your content and how to value your content as an asset. I love making these for you. As always, I'll see you in the next video. Leave me a comment on this one. Let me know what you thought, and live inspired.